Hey everyone, Gary Garrick. I've done a few videos. Obviously, you guys know if you've seen any of them, I don't really get into the large production values of what some of these social media influencers do. And I'm nowhere near a social media influencer. I'm just a low budget filmmaker who just happens to have some opinions about some of the movies that have come out from time to time. And the last time I shared an opinion was about Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead. Now, this past Friday, October 29th, today's November 3rd, the prequel film that was discussed, Army of Thieves, which follows the origin story of the character Dieter, has come out in on I was about to say in theaters, excuse me, Netflix, and I just wanted to kind of share my opinion, and maybe touch upon things that I thought improved from Army of the Dead, and Army of Thieves. So first off, I enjoyed Army of Thieves a lot more than I did Army of the Dead. Now that's not saying that Zack Snyder did something bad with Army of the Dead. Just Army of the Dead was a little convoluted. And there's movies that are like that. I mean, it had its good moments, it had its bad moments. But a lot of the things that they were discussing didn't make a lot of sense until I had seen Army of Thieves. So I prefer Army of Thieves because it just felt like a better paced movie. Didn't seem overly long. Didn't seem drawn out. See, there's parts of Army of the Dead I thought they could have just chopped out. We didn't need a 2.5 hour zombie film about a walled-off zombie-infested Las Vegas. Now, Planet of the Dead, which Zack's planning on doing, which is the sequel to Army of the Dead, that, because it's international, in my opinion, could be easily a 2.5 hour long movie. Kind of like World War Z. So, not saying World War Z is a good film either, just sharing opinions of running time and things like that. Now, moving forward. So my opinion is that let me try, how can I put this? The story and certain elements within Army of Thieves helped explain or give new insight into Army of the Dead. Now, I know some people would say, well, Gary, why didn't Zack do this ahead of time? So why did we have to see a prequel? And the fact that a lot of people didn't like Army of the Dead might have prevented them from even watching the prequel. So, they're still walking around with a negative opinion, and they're entitled to it. But there's a chance that maybe they could have watched Army of Thieves. I was like, oh, okay, that explains a lot. Because the time loop theory that people have been tossing around, which, I'm not 100% on board with, but I'm starting to warm up to it more after seeing Thieves. Especially with the backstory of the 4 safes. That makes a lot of sense. I shouldn't say it makes a lot of sense. It's helping it become more believable as an element. And it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Zack Snyder's, he's a pretty creative dude. I don't know if I brought this up in previous videos. I'm sure I did. I met Zack back when he was making Dawn of the Dead, his first feature film, the remake. And I'll tell everybody this: you can hate on Zack all you want, think his movies are bad, or he's just all about style over substance. This dude is one of the most humble, laid-back people that I have ever met, and I've met quite a few. I'm not going to say they're celebrities, but people within the industry that have name recognition. And, there's some that are great and there's some that are total jerk-offs. One of the things I really liked about being on the set of the Dawn of the Dead remake and meeting things, there was, the people who I thought were going to be the biggest jerk-offs ended up being the most lovable people, and the people who you thought would be kind of cool turned out to be total dicks. But, overall, the experience of the Dawn of the Dead remake, meeting Zack, getting some insight through Universal, and that whole behind the scenes thing was kind of great. But, I never forgot my meeting Zach. It just, that impression stuck with me for quite a few years. And here we are, we're 17 years later, and I still remember it as vividly as the day it took place. And actually, it's 18 years because I met him in the summer of 2003. I met him again at the world premiere, but that's neither here nor there. I thought, this guy is great. I mean, I wasn't totally on board with his vision at first. And even when I saw the movie, I thought, okay, wow, the first 10 minutes are, really great. And then the movie kind of, I'm a purist. I really love the original Dawn of the Dead. So it gets kind of hard to look past, at the remake as a standalone. I think had it had a different title, I probably would have liked it better. But, the having a mall and some survivors and, Dawn has two definitions. Obviously, it's the morning of, or the beginning of something. So the Dawn of the Dead was the beginning of the zombie apocalypse. The fact that even though it's hinted at taking place the night before when we're introduced to Anna at the hospital, really things start kicking off the next morning at dawn. So, excuse me. However, going through, just because the movie has the mall and then a few things here and there, it didn't carry the same weight as the original Dawn of the Dead. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because obviously they're really two different styles of filmmaking, but it just, to me, wasn't Dawn of the Dead. But that doesn't mean I didn't respect Zach. I thought there were some really great things he did, some cool, I was like, man, this guy really, his visual style was amazing. So I thought, what the hell? I liked him enough, and I enjoyed Dawn of the Dead 2004 for what it was. So I'll follow him. So I followed his career. I think the only movies I haven't seen was from him are the Owl movie and Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch didn't really appeal to me, and I'm just not really into the CG, animation stuff. I don't know how to explain it. That's not true because I watch Pixar movies, but Owls just didn't appeal to me. So, anyways, coming back to Army of the Dead and Army of Thieves. So, I don't want to screw this guy's name up, so I'm just going to refer to him as Dieter or Matthias. I think it's pronounced Matthias, but if it's Matthias, I apologize. So, we'll just call him Dieter. The gentleman who plays Dieter directed and acted in Army of Thieves. And I don't know what it is about this dude, man. It's just like, he comes out of nowhere in Army of the Dead. Apparently Zach met him or saw him in a film because the guy is like a huge star in Germany. He's just not really well known anywhere else. Really liked him, decided to put him in Army of the Dead. And dude, Zach, way to go, dude. That was a great addition to the cast, as well as Omari Hardwick, who played Vanderoe. Because I never thought, like, seeing those two guys, especially how they started off, that they would end up developing this cool bromance, So it just was kind of a nice twist to see that one character who didn't really think much of Dieter end up gaining a respect for him over something that's part of Vanderoe's life, and is that he holds a master's of philosophy. And when Dieter said that opening the safe was either going to be death or rebirth, it made Vanderoe have a new respect for Dieter, because he realized that there was more to Dieter than just this meek member of the team. Now, in terms of Army of Thieves and where it ties in, so as I said, Army of the Dead had a lot of confusing things that Army of Thieves does clear up to an extent, but part of me wants to say that, like, it felt like, I think they knew there was some issues with the movie, because remember, Army of the Dead was shot in 2019, and with 2020 and coronavirus, I think they sat and looked at the movie, and when they opted to do the prequel, I think they tried to fix what they probably couldn't fix with Army of the Dead. Because, Netflix already shelled out $90 million. I don't think they're going to, other than having to give him the money to reshoot scenes with Tig Notaro and digitally insert her into the movie. I just didn't see them reshooting a lot of things. But it is what it is. But the one thing I noticed that where Thieves became more coherent was in the script. Shay Hatton worked with Zach and I think Deborah or somebody else on writing the script for Army of the Dead, but the idea generated from Zack Snyder. Where Army of Thieves, Shay kind of was the primary writer of the movie. So, and Shay's done a lot of others. He's done the John Wick movies. He's done some other things. So I think why Thieves works better is I think Shay is a very competent writer, and his work, his ability to write a screenplay really shined with Army of Thieves. Whereas, I have a feeling that, most of the script was written by Zach because it sort of had a similar feel to some other things Zach has done. And Shay was brought in to kind of clean it up. It's like when Scott A. Frank and Michael Tolkien were brought in to polish the Dawn of the Dead remake script. Because if you've read the original James Gunn script, the movie's sort of there, but some of the things that they did, it was fucking absurd. It's like the zombie baby just after he's born can suddenly get up and, chase after his dad or whatever. It's just stupid shit. What I called it was when I read the script was, oh, there's James tapping into his trauma days. And I knew that there was going to have to be a rewrite because if it was filmed like that, this movie would have been torn apart. Dawn of the Dead remake. The other thing that was real nice is in these rewrites between Army of Thieves, it's also made me realize about the rewrites for the Dawn of the Dead remake and how some of the things that Zach couldn't do because of the budget constraints on the Dawn of the Dead remake, he was able to do in Army of the Dead, like the fighter jets carpet bombing Vegas. Well, there was actually in the Michael Tolkien rewrite of the Dawn of the Dead script where a scene just like that, where the fighter jets were just carpet bombing downtown Milwaukee. And obviously for budget reasons, they couldn't do it. So, I think Zach said, "Ooh, I remember this in the script and I'm going to move it over to here." And there's little things like that. Cause sometimes, there's even stuff in my low budget films, that I did. I was like, there was something I wanted to do in my first film. Never got around to doing it. So when I wrote the second, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to put it here, even though I wanted it over there. But since the second one was a zombie film too, it didn't bother me because the object is, it wasn't really super part of the story. It was just something that enhanced, a particular moment. It was actually just like a quick action beat. And, there's a lot of other things I wanted to do, but the budget was so low that I couldn't. But coming back to Thieves again, Thieves, if you do watch it, will help explain a lot of what you might have said what the fuck about with Army of the Dead. Nothing wrong with that. I think it was, whether it was Shay or whomever did it together, it did help fix a lot of things. But as I said, I really liked how it gave Dieter a backstory. And, Dieter actually turned out to be my favorite character from Army of the Dead. And I don't know if it's just Matthias's way of playing him, but just something likable about the guy. I can't put my finger on it. It's just like, he's kind of nerdy. He's I'm not going to say I'm an alpha male by any stretch of the imagination, but I felt compassion and empathy for him. Plus his scream was hilarious. You just can't get past that. But I think moving forward, hopefully, before they start rushing into making Planet of the Dead, that, Zach can do the story, like give the basics of the story, and they let Shay or whomever write the script, and then Zach can come in and maybe add little things here and there about with dialogue, or he wants somebody to hear something, wants to put an action beat in. But, I don't mean to talk bad about Zach in any way, shape, or form. Like I said, the guy is humble, he's great, blah, 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 blah. I just think he's a better director and cinematographer than he is a writer. And, you know, story-wise, you know, basic story concept, rock on, dude. But, you know, with the screenplay, let some of the other guys do it. I mean, you know, I'm guilty of this. There's times I just wanted to get something done on paper. And, you know, when I wrote my second zombie film, I wrote it in 2 days. I didn't give it another pass. I didn't, you know, I just said, okay, this is good enough. And because I only had $6,000. Not saying that that's what Snyder did, but, you know, it's just kind of, I realize I'm not a great writer. So when I did my third film, I asked a friend who's a writer to give it a pass. You know, it's like, tell me what's wrong, blah, 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 blah. And then he took a look at it and he said, all right, well, I'm going to do a rewrite. And I said, okay. And the rewrite was amazing. And then I came back and I said, okay, there's a few, I said, I don't know if I would have said this line of dialogue this way. So I fixed a few things in there and sent it back to him. We went back and forth till we got like 6 drafts. I feel like Army of the Dead just needed another writer to go through it and clean some things up. But overall, I thought the concept was kind of zany. You know, it's like, okay, zombie and walled off Vegas. It's like, I don't know about any of you, but if you've got all these alpha zombies that can run and things like that, I don't know how they would have been able to build that wall and keep it contained. You know, I mean, granted, Vegas is kind of out in the middle of the desert, but it's just, I don't know. It's, you know, it's like these things are fucking unstoppable, you know, except if you shoot them in the head. But just little goofy things like that kind of, it's like, this doesn't make a lot of sense, but, you know, what the fuck ever, it's a movie, you know. It's like, you know, like when Goose shoots the gas tank on the back of Chambers' back when she's, you know, which, by the way, that chick was badass. That was hands down the best sequence of the movie, the way she was taking on all those zombies. But, you know, it's like he shoots the gas tank and it explodes. That would never happen, but it's Hollywood. It's like when CJ shoots the propane tank when they're escaping the mall in the Dawn of the Dead remake, you know, with a 12-gauge shotgun from that distance. Sorry, just don't see it doing that. I mean, I didn't test it, but, you know, in scientific theory, that would never fly. So, anyways, I was just watching an article or a video from one of the typical influencers. I can't remember who it was off the top of my head, but I'll tell you in a minute. Flicks in the City, that's who it was. And I thought, you know, they really gave a great opinion on their thought of the time loop and how Army of Thieves and Dead connect, and how Army of Thieves helped close a few of the gaps. And that was great, because I thought, oh, all right, well, you know, somebody thought the same way I did. So I think it's, like I said, I think if you didn't like Army of the Dead, give Army of Thieves a chance. And I think you might have a new, not going to say a huge new appreciation, but you might sit back and go, okay. But see, right off the bat, I didn't hate Army of the Dead. I found that, you know, I'm a zombie fan film, so to me it doesn't matter, you know, I was going to enjoy it just for zombie stuff. Although, you know, like I said, it's got its flaws. I can get into that in a whole new other segment, but my thing is, you know, I think Army of Thieves is a better movie. It's well directed by Matthias. As somebody who's German, he's not even English, and, you know, he speaks good English, but, you know, it's not his, he's not a huge star in America. So anyways, that's my thoughts. Give, you know, Army of Thieves a shot, and then see if it changes your opinion on Army of Dead, and let me know in the comments. Talk to you later. Bye.